70 लाख करोड़। हाँ, आपने सही सुना, 70 लाख करोड़। अगर हम हर इंसान को, इंडिया में हर इंसान को 50,000 रुपए देते हैं, तब इकट्ठा बन के एक अमेजॉन बनता है। इट्स बेसिकली $1 ट्रिलियन कंपनी। Hey folks, I'm Subho and you're watching The Big Buck Show. It's a show where we tell you how you can start your investment journey and more importantly, how you can turn your small bucks into big bucks. ऐसे 6 कंपनियां हैं. There are 6 companies like this. PetroChina crossed the mark in 2007. It's a company owned by the government of China primarily. But the others are essentially your tech majors. Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Alphabet, Microsoft. Some of them have even crossed the 2 trillion club. And all of this has happened typically in the last 2 to 3 years. How many trillion-dollar companies do other markets have? None. India doesn't have one, not expected to have one, and most other markets don't have even one. What's more interesting is that we expect several other companies in the US market to become members of the trillion-dollar club over the next 2 to 3 years. What that shows is that there's a depth of market outside India that's very hard to replicate. And again, if I go back to a conversation with Deepthi that you may have heard before, the reason is that these are companies that are true global giants. Every one of these companies is used by you and me on a day-to-day basis, no matter where we stay. Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, right? Apple. These are all companies that continue to grow and innovate. So why do these trillion-dollar companies exist? And why are they so embedded in the US system? Well, 2 reasons. One, trillion-dollar companies exist when they are globally pervasive and they provide a number of advantages and they interact with billions of people. And that's what these tech majors do today. Why are they pervasive in the US? Because historically the US has had a tech ecosystem that is extremely deep, and it's typically had a global mindset in that companies are looking to establish dominant businesses across the world, even though their home market may be the US. So what do you do about the trillion-dollar club? There's one school of thought that says, look, already great value. Why invest? What's the upside? I think you've got to treat these companies a little differently. They continue to have significant upside. And as their business model evolves and as they expand into new areas and honestly into some of my investment themes from the previous episode, I expect some of them to have continued growth in value. And we'll cover each of these companies in future episodes and go through technical analysis, and I'll give you an assessment of, where we think they are. But more importantly, there are another set of emerging companies that are soon likely to enter into the trillion-dollar club, where I think the growth is even more exciting. And I gave you 3 examples before. And it's really identifying them and really saying, how do I set up a portfolio that has trillion-dollar companies at different stages? So imagine there's a stage where you have $2 trillion plus companies, right? Apple and Microsoft. You have those between 1 and 2 trillion. Amazon, Facebook, Google, Alphabet. And you have those that are reaching close to 1 trillion. Tencent, Tesla. And there are those that you believe someday in the next 5 years will get to 1 trillion. Netflix, biotech majors, etc. Imagine if you had a string of pearls across that entire continuum and you got this right more often than not. You're going to be very happy with your portfolio. Does that mean you should only invest in the US? These are all US listed companies. No, the Indian market has opportunity. Of course, you'll see opportunities for great returns here, but not participating in this amazing market with amazing depth and the opportunity to cash in on success stories that will be global and will continue to soar is something I would advise against. In fact, I would tell you, make sure you get your act together and you invest in this string of pearls in this $1 trillion club. And I'm going to come back and talk to you about the $1 trillion club again and again. And talk to you about the emerging $1 trillion club, which is more exciting. And hopefully, an Indian company or two is also going to be part of that at some point soon. So it's not that we are any worse off, right? We're in that evolution. So you may be wondering, but great, it's $1 trillion. There are other companies that are going to be $1 trillion. What's in it for me? What's in it for you is consistent, above expectation return over decades. If you had invested $5,000 in Microsoft, and I'm giving you dollar terms because it's a US stock, in 1986, today it would be worth about $15 million, right? That's about 25% plus return consistently on that stock over 35 years. That's very rare. And with some other companies, you're getting even more. And so it really pays to pay attention to this $1 trillion club and pay attention even more to folks who are looking to join the $1 trillion club. And like I said, we're going to be covering a number of different stocks and really giving you analysis to say, how is the stock doing? What's our take on it? And should you invest in it? And I think adding these jewels to the crown of your portfolio is going to be pretty interesting for you. Hey folks, thanks for watching The Big Bucks Show. And tell us how you thought about this episode in the comments below. Subscribe to our channel, please, and hit the notification bell so you get a notification next time a video shows up. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media. We have a Twitter channel, a YouTube channel, and of course, also an audio podcast. And hey, continue watching us so that you can turn your small bucks into big bucks.